I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
That's Lavi.
And Salty and Chip.
We're about to do Satyricon. I'm actually very, very excited about this.
You are? Why?
Yes, because the...
This one's live at the opera or something like that.
Yes, and it's been asked for a lot. It's a black metal band. So, yeah. The name of this album is Nemesis Divina. So, God's Nemesis, I guess. And it's Mother North.
Yeah, Mother North.
North, I'm assuming... You know, Africa's a motherland,
yeah.
You know, like your homeland, so I'm assuming like the northern, maybe the Nordic peoples, like that's their, the homeland and all that. So
yeah.
Maybe it's an ode to the Northland. You know, the Northmen.
Yeah. That's
what they call them, right? In Vikings?
Yeah.
The Northmen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's probably about that, so.
Okay, cool.
But that's my assumption.
That's your assessment.
It's my assessment, but anyway,
okay.
Satyricon, let's do it.
All
Black
right.
metal, let's go.
Go.
Pause it. We don't have the headphones in. God almighty.
Oh my word, I felt like a bad motherfucker too because I got that thing right up to the full screen. All right, ready?
Let's go.
Go.
Okay, sing it up! fantastisk motiverende å spille foran dere, ass. Fra hjertet, tusen takk. Operakoret! Kormester David Marval! Arrangør Kjetil Bjerkestrand. Takk skal du ha.
I love that.
I think we're gonna have entirely different reviews this time.
I love that. Oh my gosh. I think black metal is
Is your thing?
Well, you know when I get on guitar and doodle and play around, it's always that shit. You know, it's either that or arpeggiated minor chords or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really do a lot of that
No,
stuff.
you don't. You're right.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that shit.
Is that candy that we got sent?
Shout out to the big homie Jan.
What is that?
Hey,
Is that
buddy.
caramel?
Something? It's licorice.
You're such a liar. You're saying that because I hate licorice. I'm probably not even going to eat the candy. I just need to know what it is.
You won't. Of that, I'm sure.
It's caramel. Anyway, yeah, so you liked it.
Yeah, I love that shit. I love it. You didn't like it?
No,
What didn't you like about it?
it was long and I felt nothing but bored.
Really?
Yeah,
That's insane.
I was like, oh my gosh, it's going on. I just felt like nothing was changing. It didn't feel like it had a little variation at the end, but it felt very repetitive. I don't know what we were singing about, you know. I don't know.
They didn't have a
we'll
lot
have
of
to
lyrics, and
break down the lyrics.
that bothered me that they didn't have a lot of lyrics. I am assuming, Dosum Hotter Good. Nemesis
guys.
Divina. I'm assuming that it's about, let's see, The Dawn of a New Age is the first song.
Plus, I'm usually like, when I saw the opera singers in there, or I was assuming it's opera singers, like that whole crowd, and like I was like really like I thought like emperor type. I thought it was gonna be really epic, and it
This wasn't epic?
no, it wasn't to me.
This is a definition of epic.
No,
What are you
I didn't
talking
feel
about?
anything. But you know how when I don't like a song, I'm like annoyed. I feel like annoyed. I didn't like it. So
You were completely off.
sing their praise, babe, because you're not getting a good review out of me on this one. I didn't really like it at all. I don't think that there was.
You didn't think that this was epic?
No. I felt like it never hit that within like.
So when they were going, oh,
I felt like they were just trying to be epic.
you're crazy. This was absolutely epic to me. I'm pretty sure that this is about how Christianity spread into the.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm
I'm starting to figure this stuff out. You know, it's about the North and it's about their motherland and how it was, the Christians took over. You know, I'll be there when you hunt them down. You know,
Oh.
the Mother North is now a phantom, and he's saying like we have to band together. And
Yikes.
whatever, which a lot of this, what people are calling, we kind of discovered it when we were looking at Behemoth, but this is actually closer to the issue than Behemoth was. But these guys, it's about, what happened to pagan culture.
I know. Yeah.
And so I'm kind of conflicted because I do believe. So here's it.
Memories, the invisible wounds, pictures that enshrine your throne gone.
Right.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're right. So on the one hand, I believe that Christianity is going to permeate the world. Mm-hmm. So, but I don't believe that it's going to permeate the world by
it's not forced.
Murder and torture.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I do believe it's going to permeate the world by murder and torture,
but it's going to be of the
but of us.
Yeah.
Not them.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Like the way that we overcame the Roman Empire was that we put enough blood on the ground of martyrs and mm-hmm.
you know
how Nero treated the early Christians and all that and you know the Rome was running red with the blood of Christians
mm-hmm.
who didn't pick up a sword at all in self-defense in any way. You know, people act like when I talk about pacifism, people are like, that's ridiculous. You don't care about your family and da-da-da. It's like entire Christian families were digging their own graves and then summarily executed.
Yep. Yeah.
like
yeah.
Forget about the random guy who shows up to your house. That wasn't the question for the early Christians.
Mm-hmm.
You know, go look at Domitian. He had a systemic campaign to wipe out Christianity, and he created the emperor cult where you had to burn incense to him and all this shit. So my point is that, you know, torture and dying and murder is the way Christianity spreads.
Yeah.
But if we're doing it right, we're the ones that are supposed to be tortured and killed.
Right.
We're not supposed to be torturing and killing other people and forcing them to convert and all this dumb shit. So on the one hand, like I completely agree. Like that's fucked up. Like I'm not with that at all. That's not who we are. That's not the message. And you know, a lot of people. The facts are, a lot of people do not want to pay the price of what it actually means to be a Christ follower.
Oh no, yeah, for sure.
You know, you don't want to.
If you read the Sermon on the Mount,
right?
There's like, you're gonna want to like excuse so much of that away.
That's what modern evangelicals do.
Yeah.
How the hell can you justify voting for Donald Trump after reading the Sermon on the Mount?
Right. Yeah.
It's insane. But then on the other hand, I'm like, so I believe that we're supposed to permeate the world.
Mm-hmm. But
on the other hand, this idea of like stripping people's culture away from them.
Well, I think where that's coming from, when the Old Testament, when you read the Old Testament, when they went in there and they took down all the altars, anything that had to do with their pagan roots, like as in their worshiping of their God, God would tell them take it all down, because when they didn't, then people would return to that type of worship. Right. So maybe that's what they were doing, like maybe they didn't understand the new covenant and what's supposed to happen. Because I see what you're saying. Like for me, I feel like why are you going to erase history like that? Like that's their roots, that's their history. And like if you have the true religion, I don't see how you have to go in there with the sword after people. If you have the true religion, I would think that people would be, you know, especially what we say that people have like a heart that wants to do bad, like it's the ticker set toward doing bad, and that God is going to come in and like change your heart so that way you want to do what's right and follow after God. So if we believe that, if Christians believe that, then why would you need to go in there and destroy all that? I would assume that if your God is true, then people are going to follow it regardless.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, and you know,
I just want to keep touching this necklace. I love it so much.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I'm conflicted. I'm actually genuinely conflicted here, because on the one hand, I don't believe that I actually think the opposite. In the sense of people's culture. It's not that I don't want to tear down historical whatever. It's that I think the end game of what Jesus is trying to accomplish is everybody staying within their culture and worshiping God from their culture.
Yeah.
And so the conflict comes in is that, you know, worship of Odin and Thor and all this, like, it's intertwined with their culture.
Mm-hmm.
So if you say, and you know, people misunderstood this in the Rush video. I was quoting Jesus and they thought that I was talking about myself, apparently.
Really?
What?
Why?
I don't know how anybody could have possibly done that, but they did. And Jesus says, if you're not with me, you're against me.
They thought you were talking about yourself?
They said it was immature and it was arrogant and mean and whatever. I'm pretty sure that I put context around it and said, now this is the shit that gets you crucified.
Yeah,
So I'm looking at how exclusive Jesus made the message, and where Jesus goes, everything is wrong except for what I'm telling you. This is the truth. So I go, okay. You go in there and you tell everybody this is what Jesus says. He puts all the cards on the table. Mm-hmm. How does that not then result in saying, all right, well, that's the end of Odin and Thor in them? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you can't say that Christianity is going to permeate and then say that, okay, well, if that's true, then I still think that these guys would be able to sing this song with as much anger, and of course there wouldn't be any torture. I think the solution in my mind, as I'm talking about this out loud, is that it's not for the Anglo-Saxon or the whoever person coming into the culture to tell these people how to express Christianity if they were to convert. Mm-hmm. If they were to convert, and I don't believe that we do the converting, God does the converting, which was why I don't go to convert anyone. But let's say that they converted Christianity. Like, is it our place to tell them, you can't celebrate this holiday, you can't do this, you can't do that? Or do you just say, okay, you've heard what Jesus said, you heard that he said that he's whatever, and you guys got to collectively figure out how you're gonna maintain your culture, while at the same time embracing this new idea or this new God, because this new God is not part of a pantheon of other gods.
Right.
It's not like,
right.
It's not like 1 plus. He's saying he's the only one.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's kind of like a strange flip on the whole, I just believe in one less God than you. Like, this is something completely different.
Yeah, but if somebody has, like, you remember on Vikings, like, and I don't remember who it was.
What are you doing, that guy?
I think, like, he said something like, basically, like, he still hears Thor in the thunder. Like,
Athelstan.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. Right. So I'm like, well, maybe it's that, like, so I don't know how deep we want to go into that, but, like, we believe that the other gods are actually, like,
Benai Elohim.
Right, like angels, some of them, that are have they all disobeyed God? The ones that are those types of gods, because they all have something that you're like, wait a minute. But anyway, the point that I'm trying to get at is that they're all copying something, and so what is Thor? They said when he bangs his axe or hammer or something, that's the sound of the thunder. And so I'm like, it talks in Job about like God making the thunder, and he's like sends out the lightning and stuff like that. So like maybe the love that they have for Thor is actually like
the love they have for Jesus.
Right, but they just don't know it. Like they think Thor is like the creator of that, but when they realize, oh wait, like that it's close, but no, that's not it.
Well, it is an interesting concept because so in the ancient Near East you have El and then you have Baal. Mm-hmm. So El is like the leader god, the kind of like the overseer of like this divine council of gods, and then Baal, his son, is like a sub god, a sub deity, but he's worshipped, like legit worshipped. Mm-hmm. And then he rides the clouds. He's a cloud rider.
I was literally thinking about this part. Yeah.
So then, so that's like ancient Near Eastern religion. Mm-hmm. El, and then you have Baal. Well, what do you know? In the Bible, you have Yahweh. Mm-hmm. Or Christians would call him God the Father. Mm-hmm. And then he has a son.
Who is worshipped.
Daniel 7, Daniel 9, who happens to ride the clouds.
Right. Well, where's the verse where it talks about him being a cloud rider?
I saw in the night visions one like the Son of Man coming with the clouds of heaven. Daniel 9. So yeah, it's Daniel 9. There's this picture of a son of man who rides the clouds, and and it says that Yahweh rides the clouds in the Psalms, and it's a direct sort of like polemic about Baal, and saying like Baal isn't the real cloud rider, right. Yahweh's the real cloud rider, and then as the revelation continues, actually Yahweh has a son, who's the cloud rider,
right,
and then he approaches he approaches the Father, and then he gets all this glory and authority, and he gets worshipped.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have El, Yahweh, Baal, the Son. Mm-hmm. And then, well, wouldn't you know it, you have Odin, who's kind of like the elder god.
Yep.
And then he has his son named Thor, who kind of hangs out in the clouds, and he's the thunder and all this and that.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's North European religion, and then you have, ancient Near Eastern religion, and they all have this concept of a father and a son, and the son kind of goes out and dispatches and does jihad and rides the clouds and all that. Wouldn't you know, in the New Testament, you have God the Father, who's like the overseer of everything, and then you have Jesus, who happens to ride the clouds.
Right.
He rides a cloud on the way up to heaven, and so he's the God of thunder.
Yeah.
From a New Testament perspective. So my point, I think your point is to say, if you go there and say, yeah, I mean, Odin and Thor, there is a sense in which Odin and Thor are real, in the sense that there is a father who has a son who rides the clouds.
Yeah.
And the son actually does do battle. He goes to, Jesus is sort of like the warrior. It's always funny where people like that God is the bad guy in the Old Testament, and then Jesus comes and smooths everything out in the New Testament.
Yeah.
Like the last vision of Jesus in the New Testament is a jihad. He's a warrior.
Yeah.
He's faithful and true to the righteousness. He goes forth to make war. That's what it says in Revelation 19. With his tongue, his mouth, with the sword of his mouth, by which to strike down the nations. He treads the winepress of the wrath and the fury of God Almighty.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So it's this ridiculous, like, so when the age of grace is over, which is the age that we're in, we follow the example of Christ, who was completely docile and never harmed a soul. And the reason that we do that is because we know that when the age of grace is over, he's going to go do jihad. We don't go and kill people because he strikes him down with the sword of his mouth.
Right.
He's that powerful. What do you need to fight for?
Right.
Right now, you die for your enemies. So yeah, I hear you. It's kind of like. But you have to be honest and say that unless your Thor came down as a man and died for your sins, then he's the wrong guy. But if you say, now I'm thinking out loud here, this is almost heretical. If a person were to say, well, yeah, I believe Thor came down as a human being and lived on the earth and died on the cross for my sins, so he didn't call him Jesus, he called him Thor, and he's going to come back as a warrior, does that count?
I feel like it would, like, because I don't
damn
think
close.
that I know, babe. It's a little, but
That is damn close.
I think that I don't feel like that they're gonna get up there and then God's gonna be like, you had the whole story right, you just had the name wrong, motherfucker. Get out of here. I just don't see that. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I don't feel like it's a game. It's a big trick to him. Like,
right.
I think that he is known by people who want to know him. He said that he won't be far from us.
He's not far from us.
So I just don't.
It is an interesting, Acts chapter 17. It says that he placed mankind where they were, so that they could seek him and perhaps find him, though he's not far from each one of us. So it's very interesting. You have ancient Near Eastern culture, who has a father figure and a son who's a cloud riding warrior god, and then you have a northern culture.
Yeah.
Who has a father figure who happens to have a warrior god.
Yeah.
And it's amazing to me that there were so many parallels, and the Christians didn't go from that angle, but went from the angle of torture and forcing these people.
I know, because there was.
I don't understand that.
You remember those missionaries that went to the Aka Indians, which I don't think that's the proper name to say.
Yeah.
And like they
were the indigenous people of Papua New Guinea.
Okay, yeah, and they ended up getting killed. Like the 4 or 5 husbands that flew in there.
Yeah.
They ended up getting what was the name of that thing? The edge of the
end of the spear.
The end of the spear. I was gonna say the edge of the sword. I'm always so close. Yep.
Yeah.
He's like the main one people will say. But anyway, like they decide they want to go in there and like teach these people about God. So they fly in with their plane. And, everything's going good, but then everything ends up going sideways, and they end up getting speared by the tribes people. And they had a gun, like they could have shot the people.
They did. He took the gun and he shot it
into the air. But, and anyway, they speared him. Well,
he was trying to scare him off, but they were in a frenzy. So
yeah. They had this tradition where like if basically like when you would get killed on the battlefield, like you would go right to Valhalla. Well, this one was like they had to like jump over the Great Bowl, which was like this river thing or something like that.
Yeah, it was like the
divide between the natural and the spiritual,
living and the dead, and the natural and the divine.
Yeah. So when they speared them, they said that, I don't know if all of them saw it, but some of them saw like the spirits of these missionaries like jump, like go, like be brought across, and they were like, whoa, like that was like really weird to them. They ended up becoming like years
the whole
later
tribe became Christian
because the wives actually went in there with their children and like
after the husbands got killed.
Man, that's crazy. I always thought that was so brave of them.
Yeah.
But
Christian
but
women,
now I don't think so much about the bravery. I think more about the love, like that they would have had to have had, because like these people killed their husbands. Now their kids don't have fathers in there, and they don't have a husband. And like, I guess like being like, you know, through the different things that I've been through, it's like when you just messed up the whole family system, and now everybody's gonna try to live without that system being like so secure. And then you're going in there with your babies on your back, and they could spear all of you. You know, like you literally don't know. Like you could become sex slaves in there, and they could take your kid. You don't know. But anyway, they go and they live amongst the people, and like slowly, like they start asking them more questions. But anyway, I might have the story a little bit sideways, but I think like a lot of times the tribes would fight with each other. And so all of a sudden you could be in a frenzy in the middle of the night, and you'd have to take off out of there, and you would hide out somewhere. And then in the morning when everything was done, you would look around on the trees, and you would find symbols that would lead you, like the father, when if he would get separated from the kids, because he was a warrior, you know, he'd start fighting, he would make marks, and they would follow those marks. So this makes me cry. They would follow those marks through the wilderness and the rainforest area or whatever to find their father. And so when the Christians were talking to them, like that's what they used. They said that that God the Father sent Jesus to make markings to lead us back to him. And so like I like that, like using something that they can understand and something that's a part of their culture to explain to them like the path toward God, and instead of like, you know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, but that's the corollary that gets messed up, and I've been guilty of a lot, is when you say, oh, there's only one way. It makes it sound like that God only like loves one region of people and has said, fuck all these other people.
Uh-huh.
When in reality, let's just go to our mind universe for a second and say, yeah, let's say there's only one way. You would expect that God would have put this in every culture somehow, some way to connect it to a Jesus figure.
Yeah.
And there was enough there.
Yeah.
To say, hey man, there's enough here. And if enough of us die for these people, if enough of us are willing to shed our blood, if enough of our women go back into the village after their husbands get slaughtered to death.
Yeah.
Over and over again, eventually they're gonna say, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
Instead of doing that, you just go and kill these people and torture them into baptism. Like that to me is like just the most disgusting lack of faith.
Yeah.
That what you believe is real.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you really believe what you're saying, then why would you resort to that?
You must not really believe that any of this shit is really true, because it's not real enough for you to die over.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's real enough to kill over so that you can have power over people and make them do what you want to do.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because Jesus says, take up your cross and follow me. We're not killing, you don't kill a soul.
I know, yeah.
You die.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's the dividing line. Like, how seriously do you really take this shit?
Yeah.
Christianity is a bloody, violent religion, but the violence is going the other fucking way.
Right, it's coming toward the Christian.
And it's like...
Right.
You know, it's strange. It's like... And then you think to yourself, because we've been in situations where people threaten to kill us.
Right.
You know, and you... Right. You know, obviously, you know, in America, people aren't really going to kill you. I mean, maybe. I don't know.
Killed somebody over a freaking Madden game, honey. How can you say that?
Right. No.
We're dealing with some highly, highly emotional things.
It's true. No,
I don't even know how you could say that.
It is true. Like the world we're in right now. Somebody rolls up. When somebody rolls, they look
I always thought, you know what? It's very possible that they could come back down the street with a weapon.
Right. It's just because I've been in. You're right, because I've been in certain situations where, like, They didn't have to come back with the weapon.
Oh, because they are, yeah.
They fucking, we don't go get guns, we walk with them, yeah.
Gosh.
You know what I mean? So like, yeah, no, you're right though. I was complete, and it makes you really think like, are you really willing to die over this shit? Mm-hmm. Like a lamb to the slaughter, or do you want to do this shit to people? We did terrible shit, and I'm saying I understand it was the Catholic Church, and we're Protestants, and blah blah blah, and we weren't alive, but they were doing it in the name of Christ, so we're gonna own them.
Right.
We say it all the time.
No, for sure.
So like here we are torturing these people and whatever, and it's like what fucking Bible are you reading?
I don't understand. I don't understand.
Like it's pretty fucking clear.
When you look at I was talking to Selah and I was explaining to her like because she was talking to me about taxes, like it was like bugging her because she wanted to buy some gum and she only had $1, and she was like, how are they gonna? Yeah.
Welcome.
Why is Walmart making me pay extra money when they're already making me pay? And so then I was starting to explain to her some taxes and stuff like that. And she was like so like angry about that. And like I told her about the Boston Tea Party, how we freaking dumped all that and stuff. And she was like so happy that they did that. And then like when I got into like how much blood was spilt because of people's like issue with like they don't want to pay Britain anymore, like I was like, Selah, thousands, I don't even know. I said thousands of people, like lots of people died. I didn't have the exact numbers, but I'm like, died because of money. And then all of a sudden she was like, because she didn't realize it could get that far. Like she thinks, oh yeah, it's good. Yeah, dump their stuff, you know? But like, wow, people will die over it. So like, but that's like people that claimed Christianity and said that they were coming for religious freedom.
Right.
Like spilled lots of blood over that.
Right.
And then on top of that, like we killed the Native Americans. And then on top of that, we enslaved the Africans. And then on top of that, we killed a bunch of them. And then we started an entire war over we wanted to keep them slaves. You know what I'm saying? Like there's been a lot of situations that it's like we've claimed a certain belief system, but
and all of it in the name of Christ.
But then what was done was they took verses from the Bible and made it so that way it fit into their system, so that way they could have like this religious cloak on what they were doing, and like, oh, we're going, you know, just like Paul was doing when he was going around killing the Christians in the New Testament.
Yeah.
Like he said he was doing it, you know, he thought he was doing it for God. Like he had himself completely deceived until Jesus showed up to him and said, why are you persecuting me?
Yeah, and that's why Jesus said stuff like, well, I'm sending you as lambs among wolves.
Right.
Like I was listening to Yasser Qadi, and he was talking about all the persecution that the early Muslims were dealing with. Mm-hmm. And there's Muslim goes up to Muhammad and says, "Ya Rasulullah, how long is this going to happen to us?" Uh-huh. And Muhammad sat up and he said, "Look, the Christians were dealing with this shit worse than you guys. You guys need to suck it up."
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Muhammad said, "Look, one of these days I'm gonna." And you know, Muhammad had some persecution, and they were mocking him, and he turned and looked at Abu Jahl, and he said, "I'm gonna come back here and kill you, all of you."
He did too, didn't he?
And he did.
Yeah.
Sure enough,
sure
less than a year later, in the Battle of Badr, every single one of them. There's a narration, Bukhari. Every single one of them that would mocked him, he killed them all. Mm-hmm. And nobody, like, if you heard, some of the stuff is unspeakable what they were doing to these Muslim people. Like, terrible shit.
Who was doing?
The pagans of Mecca.
Oh, okay.
How they were persecuting the Muslims.
Oh.
It was terrible shit, like unspeakable evil shit, where if you heard what happened to these people at the beginning, and then when I said that Muhammad went and killed all those people, if you understood what they did to them, you'd be like, well, okay.
Oh, really?
Evil shit. The kids, women, just terrible shit. So you would look at that, if I explain what they did to those people, you'd look at that and say, well, that's what they get. But like Jesus never gave, because so Muhammad said, look, eventually I'm going to get numbers and we're gonna settle the score. Jesus never gave that comfort to his disciples. He said, look, man, the world's going to hate you, they're going to kill you, they're going to crucify you, they're going to do all types of shit to you, they're going to stone you to death. The time is coming when those who kill you will do so thinking they're doing service to God. Like, you know, like crazy shit. But he's like,
and there's that verse that says that they were beaten, they were sawn in two.
Beaten, they were sawn, men of whom the world was not worthy.
Yeah.
Like crazy, and it's like that's the ethic of the New Testament. It's like you're gonna die for this shit, and these people. Full stop.
Yeah.
And you know, in the next world, when Jesus goes, you know, the next world is coming.
Yeah.
And let Jesus settle the score then. Mm-hmm. But in this world, all the violence goes one way, and like it's so that's why it was so epic to me. And the other thing that was interesting about this song was like you had like the Gregorian chanting and all over the West, but it's like that's Western music. So you had this black metal that was like the celebration of the Northmen.
Yeah.
But it was made epic because of the chanting of Western musical styles. And I'm like, on the one hand, it's contradictory, but on the other hand, it made me say, this is what could have happened if we did the shit the right way.
Oh.
Let the fucking Northmen be Northmen. You be a Western person. And it was crazy when the drummer came down. When they were doing the little picture.
Yeah.
So he's sweaty. He's got his shirt off. He looks like a fucking. He literally looked like he just came down from Valhalla to visit. To visit the, and like there he is, like sweaty and like strong with his fucking. And then there's this like nice, manicured, pedicured Englishman with his, like. I was like, yes.
That's why you were getting all excited about that part. I was like, what? What am I seeing?
Oh, I loved it. I love and I because that had so much metaphorical import to me. It's like let the man be who he is. Let them. Oh, he's a savage. Whatever. Like this is who he is. He's a savage, and that's how God made him. God made him like that. He's a warrior. Don't fuck with him. It's like what God said about Leviathan in Job. God's like, don't fuck with Leviathan.
Yeah.
He'll fuck you up. Just let him be who he is. Like that's my guy.
Yep.
I'm gonna play with Leviathan, but you
don't
leave
do
him.
that.
It was like that. Like this guy's a warrior. Like you're lucky that he's got drums to beat with because other than that, he'd fuck you up.
I thought they said something at the end that was like.
Sights and vision, prophecies and horrors. Good Lord. So anyway, that had like a lot of metaphorical import to me to see those two standing side by side, and because like historically, there's a lot of intersections that happened to bring that moment about, and like the very thing that they were singing against is the very reason that they were standing next to each other, and so I saw a lot of beauty in that, but there was tragedy in that. It's like okay, like that happened, but like it's not the way that God wanted it to be. Like it shouldn't have been like that. Like. In that moment, they could have still been on stage next to each other, but under completely different circumstances, singing about something completely different. And because our spiritual ancestors, and we couldn't get it right. Right. And it's it's sad to me.
Yep, I agree.
It's sad to me that we couldn't get it right. But I love the engagement with the crowd. I love the musicianship. I thought the musicianship was top notch. Yeah. I thought it was like, it was repetitive or whatever with the scale, but like I don't care. It's like Magua, like that's what they do.
Yeah, I don't.
Self-crucified. Like I'm a fan of that. Like if it I don't know, but I don't know why like black metal gets because with other stuff when it's repetitive, I'm like fuck this shit. It's so repetitive. But with black metal, I love it. I don't know why. It's the same thing with Magua with Exercises in Futility.
What did I give that one? Do you remember?
You gave it a pretty high ranking because the lyrics were so dense. They were really, really deep lyrics, but it was music-wise, it was like the same progression over and over again. So anyway, I loved it. I loved the audience. Like the audience was really into it. I don't know what they were saying.
Oh, at the beginning, I liked it that he did that. He got everybody doing the same sound from the crowd. Yeah, I liked that part.
Yeah.
Yep. I was like, oh, cool. You got them all in there.
Sometimes, like, black metal performers, like, they're so into the role that they won't show that they love the music or that they love their audience. And I love the fact that these people, I felt like the singer loved the audience. And that there was something going on and that he was carrying them and that he was, Yep. But it was just interesting watching those guys at the end when the singers came down. It was like Ragnar at the King Egbbert's little hall there when they're all partying and all that shit. It was like, I love them.
I'm such a germaphobe. I was like, whoa.
I am too, but good Lord. I love me some Northmen. I love them. They're great. They're pinnacle of creation. All right.
So what do you give it?
Oh, it's a 10 for me.
Oh.
I'm a sucker for a good live show. If you can pull off a fucking good live show, I think today it was both live shows today. It was Salival and then this
Yeah.
Satyricon. If you can pull off a good live show, like I love that shit. Beautiful. Beautiful.
A 5. It was a 3 till you started talking about it.
3.
And then I gave it.
You're
a
gonna
5.
give that musicianship a 3.
I told you. I don't rate music by just what it sounds like. I rate it by how I
Apparently.
feel. I didn't feel anything on this
You didn't
song.
feel-
Nope. Not even one goosebump. Not even one soul reach. Nothing.
Yeah, I had goosebumps.
You had goosebumps?
And I was gonna
Show me the next time.
I was gonna like hit you up, but I was like, no, like this is my moment.
Oh.
So I didn't show you. And I'm glad I didn't.
I didn't even know brown people get
You
goosebumps.
spit all over my my goosebumps with your terrible skull. That's all right. I'm sure the people will
It's
back
so
me.
weird. I winked at the camera when I said I didn't know brown people get goosebumps, but I've never seen any of you guys get goosebumps. You or the kids.
White purple Marshall Funner.
What? Do
So
you
I
get
gave
them
it
a lot?
I gave it a 10.
you
What
get
do you give
goosebumps
it?
a lot?
What do you give the song?
I give it a 5.
See if you're repenting of
Do
your
you
5.
get bumps that like literally
Vin,
come out of
ouch.
your hand? Sorry, out.
Gone. Unhand me. Unhand
Well,
me.
my word.